Okay, and you guys feel free to stop me if you have questions along the way. Okay, just feel free. The first thing that I want to tell you guys is feel free to re-onboard yourself whenever you want. Okay, whenever you want. So, Brian just went by with the drill. So one of the things that I did in the first couple of years in my business, and I still do, probably just not as much, if I'm honest. But every time I recruited a new person in the beginning of my business, and truly the first year or 2 years, when I say the beginning of my business, when they would onboard, I would pretend to be new with them at home, and everything that I had them do, I would go back and do. I would watch the new consultant training again. I would, watch, I would watch like all of that stuff all over again with them. And I loved to do that because it reignited me, and it also put my feet right back on the foundational floor that I think is so important in our business. And so, in my opinion, it's never wasted time to re-onboard yourself like that. Clearly, there are going to be some things you're not going to include in it, but I think you guys are all smart enough to catch my drift on what I'm saying there. So whether you're brand new or you've done it a million times or whatever, if you're feeling rusty, whether you have a new person or not, you can always do this with yourself, okay? Always. I do want to echo one of the things I heard Trisha say before, and we're going to talk about this in just a second, is that you are not responsible for other people's success. And I think that that's one of the hardest things in our business because for me, if you've been around long enough, you've heard me say that as long as I can lay my head on that pillow at night and know that I did my best and go to sleep without any icky feelings or whatever, like I'm good. I want to make sure that I'm doing a good job for everybody that's directly on my team and everybody that's anywhere on my team. I just want to make sure that I show up well. And a lot of these things that I'm going to go through in this process, they actually cross, like they check a box for me that tells me, okay, Sarah, you did this. So no matter what this other person does, you did what you were supposed to do. You showed up the way that you were supposed to show up. You trained them, efficiently, and they have all the tools to be successful. The rest is on them. And I tell you that from this position because maybe you've been there before already and maybe you haven't, but if you haven't, I can almost promise you, you're going to go there. You're going to recruit somebody and you're going to be kind of newer at onboarding and maybe they're going to quit or maybe they're not going to go so fast or maybe whatever. And immediately, it's just almost like we do this to ourselves, like as punishment. We say, what did I do? What could I do better? What did I do? You didn't do anything, most likely, all right? And that's what this training is for. If you're doing these things that she talked about last week and I'm talking about this week, you didn't do anything. You did a great job. You brought the person in, you believed in them, you did these steps, and then you sent them on their way or worked with them to do these steps themselves because it's just not your responsibility. It's not your responsibility for them to be successful. It is your responsibility, in my opinion. Some people will say otherwise, but in my opinion, it is your responsibility to care for them and put them in the right direction and do those things. I have been saying a lot recently, like that's why we make 5%, because we make 5% of our team sales. I believe that the reason we make 5% of our team sales is for the things that we do for them, leading them in the right directions and things like that. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So on that same note, I would not put this as like we're going to go through steps 1 and all those things. But prior to steps 1, what I want to tell you is something that I think is overlooked a lot. When you have a new consultant, there is a document on the team page in the files, and it is in the onboarding unit. And it's called Congratulations on Making the Decision to Partner with Rodana Fields. Some of this I took from other people. Some of this is my words and my thoughts. I may even update it again. But the gist is, piggybacking on what I just said, these are the important things that I have typed up that I want to share with my newbies and your newbies, anybody on the team. And the number one thing is your success in this business is up to you. If you succeed, it's you that did it. If you fail, it's you that did it, right? You're the difference between success and failure. And so as you guys bring new people onto the team, I would really encourage you to please, you can email them this document, you can tag them in it under there, but as I just said the word tag, one of the things that I want us all to be careful of is especially not overwhelmed. So when you do send this to them, make sure that it's in an individual instance where it's like, hey, not sending them 8 things at one time. Just let them read this so that they really get an understanding of what it is that we do and what is their responsibility and not. So that's just a pre side note that I wanted to make sure. And especially if you guys didn't even know that it was there, because it's been around for a while, but we haven't talked about it in a while. So, okay. So on that note, that's done. And I am checking my notes because I don't want to miss anything for you guys. Okay. So on that note, hey, Becca.
Hey.
Becca.
Sorry, we're just getting
Totally fine. When I bring on a new person, one of the first things that I do, like you walk them through getting their kit and all that stuff, you've explained Pulse and CRP and all that stuff. And you've got their kit, it's on their way. They've got the congratulations. They've got the congratulations email and it's right in front of them. The next thing that I do is here on the team page. And I know she used it last week, and it's because it's here for you to use. It's the Getting Started Guide, and I don't care whether you use the one that's on the Team Sparkle page or if you use the one that's on the Team Dream Big page. If you're on that team, they're both basically the same. There are some minor changes in it. Some links work better on the Team Dream Big page, but with any links that are broken, if you run into a broken link ever, it is no big deal. Just tell me it's a broken link and then I'll get you the right one and we'll be right on our way. So what I do is I go ahead and print this sucker out. I print it out and I tell my newbie, I'm about to tag you in something. I just want you to print it out. That's all I want them to do. Just print it out and then we'll talk about it the next day. So of course, I'm sorry, I shouldn't skip the really fun part of, I always tell the newbie to please send me a picture that they love, of course, because I'm going to introduce them to the team. And so I guess that would officially be the step one. Have them send you a picture of something that they love, them, their family, whatever they're comfortable with, and just let them know that you're just going to be introducing them to the team. When it comes to team pages and things like this is a question that I get very often. How do I do it? There are so many, blah, blah, blah. First, I want to make you feel way better and let you know that there's not actually so many yet. We are really lucky that our lineage is really small. For Sarah Robbins, Natalia doesn't even have a page. Jackie has hers, then Sherry has hers, and I have mine. What happens after that is totally up to you guys. Trisha has hers, of course. But what happens after that is totally up to you guys. But that lineage there is very short. And so what I would recommend you doing, and this is what I do, is I add them to my team page, and then I say, I'm going to introduce you to the team. And that's all I do that night. That's all I do that night. I just introduce them to the team just on my page, and that's it. Okay. And then after I've done that, I do tell them to send friend requests to anybody, to anybody that welcomes them and things like that, but they'll want to get to know people. And so I do tell them that. But then after that, maybe 30 or 45 minutes later, I let some time go by and then I say, I'm getting ready to send you a list. I'm going to add you to these pages, and I'm going to tell you exactly what to look for on them. And I add them to the Rockin' Robins page. I add them to Jackie's. I add them to Sherry's. Of course, they're already added to mine. And so what I do is I just type it out in a little message, Rockin' Robins - Sunday night calls. You can say company-wide Sunday night calls. Jackie's Angels. Ask questions. Great place to ask questions. Read anything that Jackie posts. And often on there, I'll say, don't get lost. Just read anything that Jackie posts. It's a great place to ask questions. Then I'll write out the team thanks page, add new, or you will add new PCs and new consultants as your team grows. Okay. And then I tell them, they're already on my page, of course. So then I just tell them, hey, this is my page. So however you'd like to explain my page, go for it. I just let them know that I post updates and we have incentives and we have lots of fun there. So to always kind of be, stay tuned to what's going on that page and have their notifications on. Does that make sense to you guys?
Yeah.
I get that question a whole lot. And I really do want to keep it simple for them.
You said on the Rockin' Robins page, it was the company-wide Sunday night phone calls. Okay.
Yeah, that's it. And the thing is we will, with your new consultant, with all of our new consultants, we'll have a chance to learn all of that stuff a little more along the way. If they ask a question, then and you think it would be great to post on one of those pages, or if they're wondering about event setup or something like that, that's the individual time that you're going to be able to say, hey, you should go search the Rockin' Robins page for that. But the only thing I want them to know in the beginning is don't get lost. The only thing you're looking for here is this. Okay. And so I just send them a nice little bulleted, typed up message.
Sarah, what about the daily X? Do you think that's pretty important in the beginning?
I do not think it's important at all in the beginning, and I coach against it.
Oh.
No, we'll get to that later, though. Okay. And if you guys did not know, the Daily X is on a hiatus right now. They're not doing any more trainings, and so she did make an official announcement there. We will specifically get to when I do add them to the Daily X, though. Okay. So yeah.
Well, sorry, one question. On the Rockin' Robins page, have they done those company-wide Sunday night phone calls pretty much since the beginning?
Forever.
I mean, that's like the foundation of training and stuff, right?
Yeah. That's when I started the business. That's what Sherry told me. That's actually exactly what she told me. She said, Rockin' Robins. She said, search anything that you're curious about. Look through the files. Company-wide trainings are there. She said, Jackie's Angels. Read anything Jackie posts. That's what I did. That was it. That's what I did. So far we've got them added to the page. We've got them added to the team page and stuff. And we've just kind of set up a little expectation on, hey, don't get too overwhelmed. This is what you're looking for here. But we'll, mostly the verbiage from me to my new person is, we will cover all of this as we go. I just want you to have this as a reference. And I even find it just depends on your person. I find it good to maybe even do an email instead of like Facebook Messenger, however you want to do that. That way they have that little message to go back to and they're like, hey, what's on that page? So they can go back and look at it again. But they could also utilize the search feature in Facebook Messenger. So the next thing that we're going to do, since I had them print this out, and I printed it out too, and I'll just tell you the little tip. When I print it out, I just write their name up here at the top. I've got Holly's here that we're still I think we touched this a couple of weeks ago for the last time. But I just pop their name up there at the top, and I print a new one out for every new person that I bring on. And then I also end up filling it with notes. So from your standpoint, from your coaching standpoint, and your leadership standpoint, for me, it's a good way to keep track of it, because if I have it all here on this paper, then I can just pick it up whenever we're having a coaching session together or we're touching base. So the first thing on this is understand yourself. First step is to fill this out. That is the desire of commitment. That is so important. And so that very day or that very night that they have purchased their business kit, I tell them, go over to that document. You need to fill that out. You need to send it to me ASAP. Send it to me tonight. Send it to me by tomorrow. Okay? You be clear with them, because Brene Brown says, clear is kind, and clear is kind. And if you ever have a problem with being direct with people, or asking for what you want, or telling what you want to happen, just honestly remember, like, clear is kind. There's nothing nicer that you can do for your new person than to tell them what to do next. That's what they need. That's what they're looking for. Okay. So tell them, fill it out. You want it as soon as possible. They can send it back to you right now, but you definitely want it by the next day. What that's going to tell you is, that's going to tell, in the desire of commitment, it's going to tell you how much they want to make. It's going to tell you how many hours they want to work. It's going to tell you, do they want to build a team? Do they just want customers? Do they want this? It's going to ask them all sorts of questions like that. And that's going to give you two an upfront expectation on working with each other. And so whenever I get that back from them, I go over it real quick, just make sure, hey, I see this. Do I understand this right? Yes. Okay, great. It asks them all those questions. And so you're able to touch base on that. The next things on there are, they're pretty self-explanatory. That's their why and how much money again, and I'm going to use the money. And I do want them to just go ahead and look at that before we talk the next day, because the first appointment that I'm going to set up with them is 24 hours later after they purchase their business kit. I'll also tell them that, when they get their congratulations little screen, I'll also say, hey, you've got an email, and that email has a link in it. That link is to our virtual training site. You can get started on your new consultant training immediately. And so I tell them, hop on over there. Don't you wait for me. Go over there, get excited, jump on in. right? And so I'm going to use Holly as an example because she's the last person I onboarded, and it also went really well. But I'm also going to tell you that, and I believe I remember Trisha mentioning this last week, you are going to be able to tell so much about your new team member by the way that they go through this. Because remember, the nicest thing you can do for them is take them right through this step by step, telling them what to do. First of all, most likely you promised them that they wouldn't be alone and that you'd tell them what to do. They would never be lost or wonder what to do next. So what are you doing? You're showing up and you're doing that exact thing that you promised that you were going to do for them. And if they're not plugging back into you, remember, we're answering that question. Have I done everything I can do to help this new person be successful? Well, yes, you have. They're just not meeting you halfway. But we're going to keep using Holly as an example because she did a great job and it's a good example. So Holly and I set up to talk that very next day. I had welcomed her on the team page. I'd sent her that little note. I had told her you're going to find the training in there. And hey, just go ahead and knock out, just, answer these things for me. She said, okay. So the next day we got together, and if she didn't already have her why together and all of those things, because she opened her email and she did the first part of the new consultant training. And I was like, well, that's what we like to see, right? And so you really do want to see that kind of self-starting in it. And for going back to what I said in the beginning, it is a really good thing for us to go back and do that every once in a while. Like, I don't know how many of you guys that were in the military or something like that, but remember when we used to have to do like check rides and stuff like that, like just to like make sure we were still doing what we were supposed to be doing. I feel like that's kind of this way. So you're going to be touching base daily. When you touch base on that first day, you are going to explain to your new recruit that, hey, we're going to talk every day. Hopefully, we're not going to talk very long every day, because what we're going to be doing is we're just going to be going from step to step to step. And so I ask them what they've already done. Oh, I already did section one of the new consultant training. Remember that, let me read this. Oh, yes. Remember that, oh, I just lost my train of thought. I can't read that. Chat again. Anyway, you're going to check in with them. And if they've already done that, section 1, then they've already got their why and they've already, got some of those things done. Yes, I remember now. Remember that inside of that virtual new consultant training, it actually says, do this, do this, do this, do this. They can print off a little booklet and do it all. And it says, and check in with your sponsor. And so they should be checking in with you along the way. Those are the instructions that they are getting from the virtual training site. So don't forget that either. It's all in there. And so I let them know you can expect to talk to me once a day, right? Whether it's via email or messenger or on the phone. Holly and I, for this example, we just sat here on video messenger for about 10, 15 minutes tops. That was it. We came in and we touched base every single day. Check and go, check and go, check and go. And so what I told her from the very beginning is I want you to blow through that new consultant training as fast as you can. Remember, it's a very short video, so it doesn't take that much time. I wanted her to do all the assignments, and I didn't get caught up in telling her what she was going to do. That's her job, to get in that new consultant training and do it and then check in with me. And so again, if your consultant is self-starting and motivated and doing, what they're supposed to be doing, you're actually going to hear from them a lot. And so what I would tell her is, when you get done with anything, just let me know that you've done it so I can see where you are. And that's the easiest thing for again, clear is kind. When you get done with something, when you check something off, will you just let me know that you've done it so I know where you are? And then you can tell what your pace is. Are you blowing through it? Like what's really going on there? Are they held up on one particular spot? So that's how I handle the virtual training portion of it. And then down at this bottom section, this all says activity assignments complete in 7 days. Okay. So I just mentioned, like, telling them is the best thing to do, because most likely you promised them when they were coming in that you were going to lead them, hold their hand, they wouldn't be alone, and they never have to wonder what to do next. So this is what you do. So on that first check-in, whenever we're talking to each other, I tell them you're going to make a curiosity post, right? And I always will liken it to, like, if you got a new dog, or like if your kid is having a birthday party or something like that, like, wouldn't you put a teaser post up? when you put something fun up. And so often, well, not often, all the time, I have some screenshots that are saved in my camera folder. And the camera folder, I've just got it labeled like RF onboarding ideas. And so I actually just send my new person 3 or 4 different screenshots of some really cool curiosity posts along the way. You can send them the direct verbiage if you want to, or you can do what I do. And I just say anything like this will do. You're creating curiosity for your business announcement. And I tell them, get that out today. And I know Trisha said the exact same thing last week. Get that out today. And so I do that. Like the day after they've got their business kit, we have our first check-in. That's when I do that. Get it out today. They're not wondering, when should I do it? Blah, blah, blah. Again, you told them that you were going to do these things for them. And so that's it. They're going to get that out today. Also, when you tell people what to do like that, you're building confidence, by the way, not only in yourself, because building your own confidence up and stuff like this, it doesn't just come. You have to do it. And so doing these things is going to build confidence in yourself, but it's also going to give your new team, your new growing team, confidence in you. This person knows what they're doing, or knows-ish what they're doing. They have help all around, right? But they're confident in telling me, do this today. They're not wavering or being wishy-washy or anything like that. Can you guys see where that would make a difference? Okay. Okay, so that's the curiosity post. We've already talked about keeping in contact with your daily sponsor. Definitely tell them to take their before picture, okay? Because I've told you guys a million times, one of my greatest regrets is not taking pictures at the beginning of my business. I just didn't. Actually, I did take a couple, but they're so bad and such bad lighting, we could never use them. And so definitely make sure that they've done that. And here, it says down here, in the middle, start that new consultant training, but they're already on that, right? Because then the day or the night that they bought their kit, you let them know that that link was in their email and they could go ahead and get started on it, right? And again, when it comes to that, you're touching base with your new consultant every single day. You're touching base with your new consultant every single day. And so, you'll be talking about that along the way. And again, if they're doing what a new training says to do, they'll be checking in with you and saying, I did this and it told me to tell you, and I'm doing that. So does that make sense to you guys too? Those things are, going on simultaneously. All right, so here's the fun part. So they got their curiosity post up, and the fun part to me is the training calls, and I really, really, really love these. So this is not difficult at all. Again, I'm a paper and pen person, and so I have it printed out. So whether you've been doing this a long time and your wheels are going, or if you got a squeaky wheel, it doesn't matter. The training calls and the link is right here. It says, bring 5 training calls to your sponsor, instructions here. Can't get any more clear than that. And so when you click here, I believe as the onboarder, need to go ahead and print this out too. Okay, familiarize yourself with it. It's from Nicole Wagner. It's from a Daily X that she did. And so it even says, like, this is what you're going to, you're going to reach out and you're going to ask family, friends, people that you're close to, people that love you, and you're going to tell them, I started a business. I'm super excited. I'm doing some training, and my business partner recommended I have a couple of my friends do a training call with me. That's it. Will you do one? Right? And so that verbiage is even right up here for you. But for me, I have them say exactly what I just said, and often I'll just type that in the message and I'll say, hey, Holly, can you go ahead? I want you to schedule about 3, 4, 5, 6, however many training calls. Past 5, it's just an excuse to reach out, because I think after 5, they've heard it and they're doing well. But anyway, give that verbiage right to them and have them begin setting those up very quickly. My goal within those training calls is to really be able to get about 2 or 3 PCs out of it. Often you'll be able to get a really good feel on their warm market. Some people's are supportive and some people's aren't, and you just won't know, okay? But you will know after you begin that process, and that will also help you know, like, okay, great, this person has a great warm market. We're going to be able to do this pretty quickly. She's going to have great support, all that stuff. Or, hey, we've got our first little hurdle, and their warm market is cold. They're not nice. And we're going to have to do some exploration in how to do that. Does that make sense to you guys? Okay, so in those training calls, I'm not going to go over it in great detail because it's right here in a printout for you, okay? But what I will tell you is that when you read this, I want you to take from it what you think is important in a training call. There's a lot of words in this, a lot. I do not use all of these words. Let me tell you what I generally do. I think the person, I ask them to tell me a little bit about their relationship with that person. It's fun to get to know how people know each other. You can just also pick up some energy off of them and how that call is going to go. Ask them to tell me a little bit about what they wash their face with and things like that. And then I thank them again for doing the call, and I let them know, hey, listen, this is about to be a mouthful, girl. I am going to tell you about our business. I'm going to tell you about myself. I'm going to tell you a little bit about our core products. And I let them know right off the bat in the beginning, I'm going to say a lot of words because I need Holly to listen to them and learn how I talk about that. And we normally have a good giggle about that. Like, we all know it's going to be a mouthful, right? And so I go ahead and I say that up front, and then I go ahead and ask them, hey, if it's okay from here on out, I'm going to ask permission. I'm going to talk to you like you're somebody who's really excited to hear all this information. And they're like, yeah. And by then, again, we've got a good rapport. We're giggling over some things, and I go ahead and get started. I tell them my super short story. I'm talking about your 60 to 75-second short story, because they're not there to hear about you. I mean, you want to plug a little bit to try to create some vision of like what you've done or your favorite thing about it or what you get a kick out of it, right? But they're not there to hear about you. And then I go into the Rodan and Field story, who we are, our background, a little bit of it's on there. And then I tell them about our core products. And I do that. And then at the end of it, I say, hey, I'm going to switch on you. I'll back up. I do tell them at the beginning of the call, if at any point during what I'm saying you're actually interested and you have a question, please feel free to stop me. And so I give them that permission in the beginning, and then I do it. And then I say, okay, I'm going to switch on you. I'm going to ask you in all seriousness, after everything that I've just said, you know, where do you fall? On a 1, you cannot wait to get off this phone. You hate me and never want to see me again. Or 10, you're like ready to sign up and go. How can I help you? And then we start talking about those things. I'm either able to help them close as a preferred customer, with the new consultant, or I'm able to send them a Mad Mimi about business. Maybe they're interested in doing it too, right? Because you're also going to tell them a little bit about our business model, what makes us a little bit different. And at the very least, if they were just great support, I just tell them, thanks for being great support. I will tell you, one of the things that Holly did, and that was very helpful to us during these calls, is she sent each of her friends and family members, she sent them the skin quiz, the solution tool, before we got on the phone. And that was really cool, because it just personalized it a little bit more, and it was super easy to do. And so I would suggest doing that too. So here's the thing. This says bring 5 training calls to your sponsor. These are fun. There's no magic number. I think that 3 to 5 gives your new person a good idea of how to talk about it, and that, you know, they've heard it enough, and maybe they've got, you know, a customer or 2, depending on their warm market, under their belt. And that's pretty awesome, right? But one of the things that I found interesting with Holly was that she loved the language. She was new. She loved the language of, hey, I'm doing some training calls. Would you be interested in like helping me out and popping on the phone? And she did that, and she ran with it for the whole dang first month, I think. And we signed customers, and they listened, and Holly really became, she just got great at what exactly it was that we did, what we had, all of that. And so you do what feels right in your new consultant's warm market. Again, everybody's warm market is going to be different, but if they have a really great one, don't be afraid to let them use that excuse, you know, to reach out to people and things like that. So at the same time, while you're doing the training calls, the next bullet under here says to set the date for the launches. Okay. And so, while the person on day 1 that we've talked, I do tell them, I do tell them that their business kit will be coming in a few days. And it's honestly up to that person, whether they want to wait until, and I do leave this up to the person, if they want to wait and take a really cute picture with their business kit. Unfortunately, like with COVID shipping and everything, we can't guarantee how fast it's going to be there. And so we really they don't really need to wait that long to make their announcements. But that I'm not to, you know, you have to do it this. They definitely have to do it by the day that they get their business kit, because if they're waiting, that's all they're waiting for. But as long as I'm doing training calls with the person and we are getting their virtual launch up, then that's fine. The way that I do it, and I do love the language that Trisha and Natasha have been handing people. I love that language. I've seen it. It's awesome. It's very, very good. One of the things that I have done is over the years, I've got those screenshots of some really cool announcements that you guys and other people have done along the way that I've seen, and I've got it in that album. And so what I'll do is I will just send a variety of screenshots to them. They're ones that I approve, I like, I know they're good, and it wouldn't be crappy to see it up on Facebook. And they say, hey, pick from these for your announcement. And so they're going ahead and they're putting that together. Okay, questions thus far? Okay, so during that same time frame, that day 1, that day 2, when they have their announcement up, they are going to have that verbiage at the bottom. No matter which announcement they pick, they are going to have the verbiage at the bottom that says, I'm going to be having a virtual launch, drop an emoji or something if you want an invite. But I don't wait for that either, just in case they do want to take a picture with their new kit and do all that stuff or whatever. I go ahead and let them know I'm opening your virtual launch group. The other language that they get to use besides will you do a training call with me is, I'm doing this, I'm super excited, can I add you to my launch group? Or I'm about to add you to my launch group, it's gonna be a ton of fun, you're gonna love it. That's some of my favorite language. I'm going to do this, it's going to be a ton of fun, you're gonna love it. Like that's really, I think I say that more often than anything. And so I go ahead and get their virtual launch group up. They sent me a picture. I do like a cute heading, kind of the exact same that, I think that everybody's seen it. And again, if you haven't seen one of these varieties, just ask and we'll add you to it. But I go ahead and, pop a picture up at the top, and it's their virtual launch group. I get a welcome message up in it, and they get off and running, inviting people to the virtual launch group. Again, I'm not going to go so much into that, because if you want to see a virtual launch that's been done recently, just ask one of us and we would be so happy to add you to it. Questions about that? Nope. Okay, so we get that virtual launch like going in those first 7 days, right? Like, it is going, it is executed, like it'll be closed at day 10 after they have started up. I normally keep mine up for 48 to 72 hours. Sometimes you can do 48 hours and then party extended for 72 hours or however that is going. But it is up and going and closed by day 10. And the cool thing that Holly and I did was we went ahead and took her virtual launch group. We just turned it right on into her PC group, her skincare group. We just changed the name on it and turned it into that. And then she made a cute little announcement about, thanks for supporting me. Thanks for that. Like, this is where I'm going to house all this stuff. Because the next thing that I'm going to tell you guys is around this time, they've got a couple of preferred customers under their belt, hopefully during that virtual launch. Then this would be the appropriate time to go ahead and tell them, like, there's the PC training document on the team page. It's in the units. It's under onboarding materials. And then there's also the preferred customer training on the YouTube channel. And so one of the questions I always get is, what do I do with them? What do I do with them? And see, we've already talked about what to do with them. Sarah was so amazing and told me to open that channel. And I think it's the best thing she's ever done, because now I don't have to do that over and over. Now we just get to plug our new consultants into that training and say, this is what you do with them. There's a paper version with stuff on it, and then there's the YouTube training. And so around that time, I go ahead and I plug them into that. And I always say, let me know when you're done with it. Let me know if you have any questions. I love to hear when they're done with the things in the beginning, because otherwise we are just blind tagging and hoping that they got it. And there's a fine line between harassing them and, letting them, there really is. There's a fine line between harassing them, letting them go on their own. And generally I'll ask them twice. If they don't come back to me and say, hey, I got done with that training, it was great, or here are my questions, or I hated it, or whatever, then I'll ask them, hey, did you have a chance to look at that? Because for my part, I want to know, like, you asked the question, I gave you the information, did you take it in? Like, where are we going next? And so the second time I ask, if I've not gotten any reply or whatever, often I will just let them know, you asked, and this is where the information is. We really need to go and check that out, because all of the information is, is right there on how to take care of your PCs. But I do tell them, you're going to add them to the skincare group. And I get this question a lot too. How do I add people to my skincare group along the way? Because I do not just mass add. Generally, anyone that I am talking to about the products, whether they have asked me questions or vice versa, or I've reached out to them and they're just not ready, money, questions, any of that kind of stuff, I just pop them in my skincare group so that they're able to see the things that I post in there. Does that make sense to everybody? I like that too, because it just keeps it all housed. Yeah.
But I couldn't get myself unmuted. When you turn it into her PC group, is it then easy for them to find, being that like you were the first admin? Like, does it show that like it belongs to her? Like, that's my like only concern of like, does it look like it's hers?
I think it looks like it's hers, because I made her an admin anyway. Like as soon as I made the group, and I don't think we've had any issues with that. I may have even unmade myself an admin of the group already. So I think, I think she's the only admin when it comes to it.
Because that's what we did with Julie's too. And it's like, like I took out the stuff that didn't matter, and then like she's an admin and we an admin.
Yeah. Yeah, and I really do like doing that, because we all know at this point being a part of a million groups is a real pain in the hiney. We're all up to here on it. And so I just really love that idea. And I think it was actually Holly's idea when we were sitting here one day. She's like, why don't we just do this? And I was like, why don't we just do that? The eyes of a newbie. And I will say that's not in my training that I wrote down at all. But you all, when we bring on new people, open your ears and open your eyes, because they see things we don't. We've been doing this for so long. We get stuck in the same patterns. You know, we look for creativity all the time, and we ask for different ideas all the time, because we get stuck in here. But I learn more from the new people that join our team than I often do a 10-year-old daily X. Really do. So the next thing that I'm going to say, again, remember, I'm going to go back to, I'm checking with them every day. I actually do set an appointment time every day. And Kathy, I don't know if it was you or not, but when I rewatched Trish's training, you were talking about setting a time. You were asked a question or something about setting a time.
Yeah.
I set a time with them every day, that we're going to check in, whether it be via a quick phone call or a quick video messenger, or even just touching base via text. It doesn't matter, but we're going to do it by this time every day. Holly and I, it was around lunchtime every day. That's what worked for us. And so that's what we did. But I did not spend very long at all, because I am not trying to talk their ear off. They did not join this business to listen to me talk. They joined this business so that they can make money. And that's what I said I was going to help them do. And so we get on, and that's where I'm going to get to this little part over here, all of it. Get comfortable with your personal website, log into your back office, play around on the library, print and save the pricing sheet. All of that stuff. Contact your love list, create your love list. This is all on here. These are things that I'm drawing her attention to. And I say, hey, have you gotten to that? Did you get to play on your website very much? Yes or no? No, really want you to get to that, today. And then when we check up tomorrow, hey, did you have a chance to do that? Yeah, I did, or no, I didn't. And for me, here I am again with my paper and my pen. I check it off. And that way, because of how busy I am, when I sit down with Holly the next day, I can pull this sheet out and I'm not lost. Okay, great. Where are we? Just in case I've done 22,000 things since the last time we talked, right? And so I go back there, and then once I've checked it off, then I just go forward with it, right? And so you're going to get to the spot. You're going to get to the things on here that talk about share and connect with 5 people a day and all of that stuff. When we get past the launch, and I will say, of course, I skimmed right over the in-person launches. Whenever your people are ready, we are living in some weird times. So typically, I have my person do 2 in-person launches and 1 virtual launch, okay? That's all I can say. Just leave it up to your person and how their market is feeling and all of that good stuff. But after the first week, you should be done with all of this stuff. That is when I then introduce them to Penny. And I get this question a lot too. When do you do this? How is it too soon? Is it too late? Whatever. But after their virtual launch is done, okay, when it's closed out and it's done, that's when I introduce them to Penny. And I do have a reward system that I just created a few months ago with my newbies. I always send an RF hat for whenever they hit EC. But now I have a little graphic that I created that I can share with you if you'd like. And it says that you can earn this. And one of them is like the RF t-shirt that I have. And one of them is an RF towel. And they earn one after they've been consistent with Penny for 30 days. And they earn the other one after they've been consistent with Penny for 60 days. And so at that time, it's really important to plug them in to the activity that it takes. And the activity is so simple, and we do not want them to get lost all over the place in a love penny. And so I plug them into it, and we start doing that after the virtual launch is over. Questions about that? Okay. That's where it ties in under complete in 30 days. It says share, connect with a minimum of 5 people each day. They're able to do that via using Penny. So simple. They can also go with their love list, or or anything like that. Okay. Then the next one, Kathy, you asked about daily experience. The next one is when I start talking about daily experience. So I've got them plugged into Penny. I've got them on the work. I've got them doing the work, and knowing what that looks like every day. And then down here, you've got a lot of little pink sections, and they will be exploring that. They'll be making their list, because guess what? The virtual consultant training on the virtual website tells them to do it. So they've already got it. If they're doing that training, they've already done this. And that's the really cool thing about that. But down here, it talks about social media posts. What do I post and all that stuff? So in the very beginning, we had them do a curiosity post. Then they're doing their announcement. And the next instructions that I give them really tie back to, what if you got a new dog or a cat or a chicken or a goat or whatever? If you got this thing, what were you going to do? You're going to take a picture of it after you got it, right? And then you're going to share it on Facebook. And what about when the dog goes pee outside for the first time? What are you going to do? Take a picture of it, put it on Facebook, right? Take it out to walk, take it to the park, get it some booties, do all the things. What are you going to do? You're going to share about it on social media. That's what we do. And so that's exactly the example that I give them on what to do, how to share on social media during that beginning. Don't complicate it. Just take your market with you. If you washed your face tonight with your new products and you liked it the way it smelled, or you liked the way that your face felt afterwards, just put that. Snap a picture and say how it made your face feel, or how it smells, or whatever. Like, just do those things. Take people with you on your journey via social media. And so that's what I have them doing up until this point. And then I really believe this is when I will plug them into the daily, because the links to this tab here that says post, social media posts, and then it says, what do I post? Watch this and this for help. I think in those trainings from the last time I watched them, they talk just about things like that, about being real, showing up, not complicating it, and all those kind of things. They have lots of ideas and lots of things. And so, Kathy, at that time, I add them to the daily experience. I say, and sometimes I won't lie, if they're going fast, they'll click on that link and they're not part of the group yet, and they'll write me and they'll go, hey, I tried this link, but I'm not in this group yet. And I'm like, all right. And then I will go ahead and do that. But otherwise, if they haven't gotten that far on their own, being self-motivated, then that's the part where I will do that. And I will say, go watch these 2 trainings. They're really great on what to do on social media, and how to build your brand and stuff like that. And then there is a training that Sarah did for some of us on the branding matrix. And again, really keeping with not overwhelming them with different things. But if they're asking about what to post and things like this, Sarah's training on the branding matrix is on the YouTube channel. And I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, it was the best thing, the simplest system I've seen. And so I really like the execution of that. So I love, taking in the information from those 2 Daily X trainings. They're great. But for me, I just feel like as a new person, if they're feeling cluttered, or what do I do, or they need some sort of focus or some way to go, I really love that branding matrix. And so please don't forget that that's a resource that's on the YouTube channel that you can absolutely plug your new person in. One of the things that I hope that you've heard me say over all of this is, as you go on with your new consultant, when you check in with them, when you 2 are touching base, check and go. Because so many of these things, the timing of these things are going to depend on what have they done? How motivated are they? How is their market receiving it? How are they catching on? All of that stuff. So much of that is going to be there. And so I will generally be on these papers for the first month. We're done before the first month. Do not get me wrong. Okay. Like, we're done with these before the first month, but I've got these out because Here on the back, it says little things about like how, like share, talk about the business and the products, share a sample, third-party tool, connect with the leader, right? And so every day when you check in with your new person, you're able to go, hey, have we talked about talking to people about sampling? No, not yet. Okay, great. Let's talk about that. And then you can give them some sampling language. You can give them the language of, hey, I started a new business. I'm not sure if you saw it or not. I got some samples in my business kit. I'd love to send you one if you'll promise to use it and tell me what you think about it. And so you're able to do that. And it's one of the reasons that I love this guide so much, is because instead of wondering, what do I do with my new person? You know, I wish there was this, I wish there was that. It's all right here. And by the time you're actually done covering this, you will have covered it with them. The only notes that I have after this are month 2. I want you guys to remember that month 2 in our business can be tough. Month 2 is the time that the new energy is possibly worn off. They have hopefully successfully run through their warm market. They've done their launches. They've had some fun. And so there can kind of be, and then, you know, of course, you know, they wake up on the 1st and there's that dreaded goose egg. I know that's just so fun for everyone to look at. And so setting their expectations and talking to them about, hey, you know, this is what you can expect. Month 2 is kind of hard, but we're actually just we're going to go right back. We're going to start this whole gig all over again. And I'll get them directed in the way of another virtual event or an in-person event, however they're feeling like doing. That's what we do. And so I'll even tell them at that time, you know, hey, so-and-so signed up. They were your first customer or second customer. Why don't you go ask them if they want to earn free products or something like that and host an event for you? And so I really get their wheels spinning in month 2 about how to do these things. How do we carry on with our business? Again, that ties back into the little penny incentive that I'm doing with them, because I never want anybody to forget that, like, even on our most boring days, well, if you plugged in and you've done your reach outs, you've done your follow-ups, you're taking good care of your customers, you're doing your job, right? And so setting that expectations, you know, that expectation that month 2 can be kind of tough. And then on month 3, the only thing that you really need to remember that, in my opinion, would be a responsibility of the onboarder, the sponsor, is to teach them about reorders. So, you know, the last thing that we want to happen to anybody is that they've got some great customers in month 1. They didn't set expectations. Like, maybe they didn't do the PC training. Maybe they didn't watch it. Maybe they didn't read it, because it's all on there on the document and then also on the training. But just in case they didn't, we want to remind them, hey, it's the beginning of your month 3. This is the month where you're going to get reorders. Go ahead and check in with your customers and help them learn how to set expectations for their customers. Does that make sense? Okay. That is it.
Yep.
That's all I have in terms of all I have. I really thought that was going to be way shorter than that. Gosh. But that's in it. It's in its entirety, front to back. That's what I do. I find this resource to be so helpful because it's a check and balance for me and for all of us. You know, as we're doing that, I get that question all the time. You know, how do I make sure I don't miss anything? What's my job with that person? Feeling responsible for their success, and it's just not. All right, questions, comments?
I think so.
Good. That's great. I'm going to stop recording on it.
What are you eating, Tanya? Is it green